Her carry-on was still by the front door, wheels angled like she'd dropped it in a rush. She told me she'd unpack after dinner, said the hotel wasn't great this time, sterile, too much white, made her feel like she was in a hospital. I was searing steaks, the expensive ones she used to pick out. She walked in wearing those flats that always gave her blisters, peeled off her blazer, and leaned against the counter like nothing had changed. "I miss my own bed," she said. I told her the steak was almost ready and poured her wine in the tall glass she liked, the one with the little chip near the rim. She smiled, the same smile she always used when we had guests, tight, polite, not real. She didn't touch the wine. After dinner, she sat on the couch and scrolled through her phone, said she was catching up on emails. But the screen didn't light up with work apps. It was her personal account. I saw the tiny heart bubble in the top corner before she tilted it away. She used to ask about my day, used to curl into my side like gravity pulled her there. That night, she barely looked up. 2 days later, I was on a flight to Chicago. Work trip, I told her, client meeting, overnight stay. She said, "Be safe," and kissed my cheek, not my mouth. I didn't pack much, just a duffel and a charger. Landed at Midway around noon, but I didn't go to the hotel I told her about. I went straight to the Evermore. She stayed there 2 weeks ago. Same chain she always used. I remembered the name because she left the receipt in the laundry, $298.72 for a solo stay. Room 714. I had no idea who booked it this time. Could have been her, could have been him. I stood outside that door for 6 minutes flat, not knocking, not breathing right. I told myself I was just being cautious, that I came all this way for peace of mind. But peace doesn't live in hotel hallways. The cleaning cart was parked down the hall. Housekeeper was wiping mirrors. I nodded like I belonged there. She didn't even blink. The door was propped slightly, not latched. Maybe someone went for ice. Maybe he was in the shower. But I didn't hear water. I pushed it open 2 inches. That's all I needed. Her bracelet was on the nightstand. Silver chain, tiny green stone in the middle like a drop of forest glass. She never took that thing off. Not once in 5 years, even when we fought, even in the ocean. And now it was just sitting there, like a warning sign someone forgot to pull back in. The bed was made wrong, not hotel clean, wrinkled like someone had laid in it sideways. There were 2 pillows pressed together near the edge. One had a small blonde hair on it. Not hers. I closed the door, didn't take pictures, didn't wait to catch him. I already had what I came for. The thing about truth is, it doesn't need a witness to be real. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. I used to think love was a crescendo, some big, swelling thing that crashes in like a wave and flips your whole life over. But with her, it was quiet. A Wednesday morning in October. Broken umbrella, chipped nails, navy coat with one missing button. She held her coffee like it was the last warm thing on earth. I offered her mine. She said no, smiled, and walked away with wet shoes and her head high. 3 months later, we were eating cheap Thai on my couch, watching a documentary about whales. She cried when one got separated from its pod. I handed her a napkin and she just said, "I hate how quiet loneliness sounds." I should have known then. But I didn't. I fell in love with the way she read menus like contracts, how she always left the light on in the hallway, even when we weren't expecting anyone. She said I made her feel anchored, said I was the first person who didn't make her feel like she had to earn softness. We didn't rush things. She moved in slow. First it was her toothbrush, then a drawer, then her cat who only liked me when I fed it cold cuts. Our wedding was small. Backyard fairy lights, just enough champagne to make her mother tolerate my playlist. She danced with her shoes off, twirled like no one was watching, even though everyone was. I thought we had the kind of love people envy. When my startup flopped, she brought home sticky notes with quotes on them, taped one to the bathroom mirror. "You're not failing, you're just pivoting." She made pancakes on Tuesdays, always added cinnamon. We played board games with her niece on Sundays. She liked Connect 4, said she was training to be ruthless. We were boring in the best way. Predictable, safe, comfortable. She'd hum when she was folding laundry, some old song her dad used to play. She told me once that love isn't fireworks, it's a pilot light, always burning even when the stove's off. So when she started traveling more, I didn't question it. New manager, bigger accounts, more pressure. I supported it, bought her noise-canceling headphones, packed her travel bag with snacks, sleep mask, that little lavender pillow spray she swore helped on planes. She kissed me goodbye at 4 a.m., always on the forehead. "Text when you land," I'd say. "I always do," she'd smile. And she did at first. Now, looking back, I wonder if all that quiet we built together was just a holding pattern. If she was always the kind of person who needed turbulence to feel alive. Maybe I mistook stillness for safety. Maybe she mistook it for being stuck. Or maybe I just stopped hearing the hum when she stopped folding our laundry. She came back from one trip and tossed her suitcase in the closet without unpacking. Said she had to head right back out next week. No time to settle. I asked her if she wanted me to book her a massage. She said, "I'm fine, just tired." I didn't press. The week after that, she brought me a mug from Denver. One of those airport gifts that feels like guilt in ceramic form. I sipped from it for 2 months before I realized she never actually went to Denver. I kept it anyway. Something about holding it made me feel like we were still in it together. Even if she'd already let go. She started laughing differently. Not all at once, just little changes. A sharper inhale, then a clipped ha, almost like punctuation. Not the laugh I knew. Not the one that used to come from her stomach like she forgot the world when something was funny. This new laugh, it wasn't meant for me. The first time I noticed, she was FaceTiming Tasha from marketing. That's what she said when I walked in. She angled the phone so I couldn't see the screen and waved me off like I'd interrupted something harmless. But when she laughed like that, short, light, flirty, I stopped in the hallway and just listened. It was the laugh she used to use with me when we were still falling. That night she left her wine glass full and went to bed early. Said she was jet-lagged. Her trip was to Austin, same time zone. I didn't say anything, just stared at the untouched glass. Little beads of condensation had formed, sliding down slowly like time was melting off the sides. She was asleep by the time I came up, or pretending to be. I scrolled through our texts from the week before. They used to be filled with emojis, jokes, her asking about my day. Now they looked like appointment reminders. Boarding now. Made it to the hotel. Long day, talk tomorrow. I told myself it was stress, big accounts, high-pressure projects. She was grinding. That's what she always said, "I'm grinding so we don't have to later." But the later never came. One night she came home smelling like a scent I didn't recognize. Musky, expensive, something with tobacco and amber in it. Nothing like the lavender sprays and soft florals she used to wear. I asked her about it. She said Tasha gave me a sample. You don't like it. I nodded, just different. She raised an eyebrow. Yeah, well, maybe I need to feel different. Then she walked out of the room like she hadn't just left a grenade on the floor. It was subtle, that's the thing. Cheating never comes with a warning siren. It shows up as small shifts. Late replies, a locked screen, a kiss that lands half an inch off from where it used to. She stopped humming when she got dressed. Stopped asking if her outfit looked okay. Started wearing lipstick on trips, even though she always said it made her feel too formal before. I noticed the little things. Her charger was missing 1 week. I offered mine. She said she had a backup, didn't want to clutter the nightstand. She used to want everything mixed. Shared playlists, shared calendars, shared space. Now it was all hers and mine. I started journaling. Not because I wanted to, because I needed to. I'd forget things. Conversations felt like gas leaks, invisible, but something was off. She started saying things like, "You're remembering that wrong." Or, "We talked about this, babe. You just forgot." At first, I believed her. I even Googled early onset memory issues. But the truth was, she was just rewriting the story faster than I could reread it. One night, I asked her if she still felt connected to me. She blinked, like I'd asked her something in a different language. Then she smiled too quickly and said, "Of course, you're my husband." I nodded, but something about the way she said my husband made it sound like a title, not a choice. She didn't touch me that night. A week later, I asked her if she wanted to do a weekend away. She said she had a conference, said maybe next month. I booked the cabin anyway, 2 nights in the hills. Wood stove, no Wi-Fi, the kind of place she used to love. I never showed her the confirmation email. Just kept it sitting in my inbox like a tiny secret. Felt good for once to have something she didn't know. I started to understand how easy it must have been for her. To lie, to pretend, to rehearse a smile and wear it like foundation. By then, it wasn't about catching her. It was about watching the gap between us widen and knowing she wasn't trying to close it. She was already on the other side. The Evermore had this soft, yellow glow in the lobby, not warm, not homey, just sterile, like it was trying too hard to feel expensive. The front desk guy was half asleep, flipping through some printed schedule. He didn't even look up when I said I left a charger in room 714. "No problem, sir. Just leave the door open when you're done." That simple, no ID, no questions. The carpet on the 7th floor was maroon with gold trim, the kind that muffled your footsteps and made every breath feel louder than it should. My hand hovered over the door handle. I didn't even need to knock. It wasn't latched. I stepped inside like I'd been there before. The room was quiet, not peaceful, just paused. TV remote crooked on the bed, corner of the comforter folded down, 2 pillows indented, one still warm. The smell hit me first. Not her usual perfume, not lavender or rosewater, but something new, spicy, rich, faintly masculine. The kind of scent you remember, because you weren't supposed to notice it. Then I saw it. On the nightstand. Her bracelet. Silver chain, tiny green stone in the middle like a speck of sea glass. The clasp was slightly bent. She used to fidget with it when she was nervous. She never took it off, not once. Not when she slept, not when she showered. Not even when we argued, and she stormed off to the guest room. I walked closer. There was a receipt half tucked under a room service menu. 2 entrees, 1 beer, 1 old-fashioned. She told me she ordered a salad and gone to bed early. She always said I didn't trust her enough. I stood there next to that bed, wondering if this was what the beginning of the end looked like. Not some loud blowout. Not a fight or a scream. Just objects, smells, items left behind like ghosts of someone you used to know. The curtains were half open. A building across the way had its lights on. Some guy was ironing a shirt. Looked like he was getting ready for a date. I sat down on the edge of the bed, not where the pillows were dented, just the corner. I didn't touch anything else. The sheets were warm, freshly wrinkled. 1 pillow had a single blonde hair on it, short, definitely not hers. She dyed hers dark brown last year. I remember because she asked if it made her look more executive. I told her it made her look fierce. She kissed me so hard I dropped the spatula and burned the toast. Now I couldn't even picture her face without wondering what else was fake. The silence in that room was louder than anything I'd heard in months. I sat still for maybe 10 minutes, long enough to hear the faint hum of the mini fridge, long enough to feel the tension crawl up the back of my neck. Someone knocked down the hall, laughed, then footsteps, male, confident, heading my way. I didn't panic, didn't flinch, just stood up, walked to the door, and slipped out like I'd never been there. He passed me without a glance, athletic build, gray hoodie. Wristwatch with visible gears, the kind finance bros like to flex. The elevator pinged. I didn't look back. Outside, I sat in my car for a while. Watched the revolving doors, the lobby, the glow from the 7th floor window. My phone buzzed. A text from her. Flight was smooth, exhausted, gonna crash early, love you. I didn't reply. Not out of spite, I just didn't know what to say. Because I wasn't shocked. That's the part that stung the most. It didn't feel like a twist. It felt like confirmation. Like finally locating the leak in a boat you've been sinking in for months. She made me think I was paranoid. Said I needed to work on my insecurity. Told me I read into things too much. So I stopped asking. Started second-guessing my gut. Now I wished I'd trusted it sooner. Back at home, I opened the drawer where she usually kept her jewelry. The bracelet's twin sat in its case, a gift from me on our 2nd anniversary. Engraved on the inside, still choosing you. I guess she stopped choosing. Quietly, systematically. One hotel at a time. I took the 2nd bracelet out, held it next to the one I found in room 714. The clasp was bent the same way, same scratch on the underside. It wasn't a second one. She just hadn't noticed she left it behind. Or maybe she had. And that's what scared me most. I didn't throw the bracelet at her. Didn't scream. Didn't accuse. I placed it on the kitchen counter next to her vitamins, like it had never left the house. She didn't notice for 3 days. When she finally picked it up, she frowned and asked, "Did you fix the clasp?" I said no. She stared at it like it had interrupted her thoughts, then put it on without another word. That's when I knew. She didn't realize she left it behind, or she was hoping I wouldn't say anything if I found it. Either way, she underestimated me. I started sleeping on the couch. Said my back was acting up, too many hours hunched over the laptop. She offered to switch sides of the bed. I told her I needed a few nights to reset. She didn't push. Didn't curl up beside me like she used to. Just nodded and scrolled through her phone with that faint half-smile she gave to screens, not people. I mirrored her after that. When she left texts on read, I started doing the same. Stopped replying right away, stopped asking when she'd be back. One night she came home late, makeup too perfect for just client drinks. She hovered by the door, waiting for a question. I didn't ask. She stood there like a kid who expected detention and got silence instead. Then she said it. "You've been distant." I nodded, just tired. She blinked, looked like she wanted to say something else. But she didn't. She just walked past me and into the kitchen, opened a bottle of wine she used to save for date nights. Didn't offer me a glass. I started collecting things, quietly. Screenshots of texts, email flight confirmations, receipts she didn't know I had. I even found an old photo from the ever more blurry reflection of her in the mirror. Same nightstand, same bracelet. She posted it on her private Instagram, one I wasn't supposed to know about. Caption, "Somewhere I feel alive again." That line hit harder than any admission. I didn't tell anyone, not my brother, not my best friend, not even my therapist. Because once you say it out loud, the betrayal becomes real. And I wasn't ready for that. Instead, I changed the passwords. Bank logins, cloud storage, The crypto wallet she never asked about, the one that wasn't covered in the prenup. I opened a new account, moved the funds in small amounts, spaced out, discreet. No flags, no alerts. I reviewed the prenup she once said we'd never need. She wrote it when she was the one making more money. Back then, I had just left my job to freelance full-time. She wanted to protect both of us. I remember signing it with no hesitation. Now I read it like scripture. There were gaps, tiny clauses, outdated language. Crypto wasn't even mentioned. I smiled for the first time in weeks. She started noticing my mood shift. I was calm, peaceful even. It made her nervous. She said, "You've been quiet lately." I said, "Yeah, it's nice." That was the end of that conversation. I sold my car, cashed out early before the market dipped, told her the insurance was too high, said I'd use her spare until I found something smaller. She didn't ask why I needed to downsize. The same week, I canceled our anniversary dinner reservation, said the restaurant double booked. She frowned and said, I was actually looking forward to it. First time she'd said that about us in a long time. I smiled. Next time. I already knew there wouldn't be one. There's a power in silence. Not the cold kind, the surgical kind. The kind that cuts cleaner than yelling ever could. I let her believe she still had control. Let her keep texting me from hotel rooms. Let her keep slipping back into our bed like nothing had changed. But something had. Me. My lawyer's office smelled like cedar and printer toner. He was younger than I expected. Sharp suit, sharper memory. Barely looked at his notes once. He said, "You don't want to fight. You want to win quietly." I nodded. We reviewed everything. The prenup, the assets, the hidden pieces she didn't think I'd protected, my crypto holdings, my licensing contracts, the joint account with the buffer I'd been feeding for months. He leaned back and said, "We can make this hurt. Legally." I told him I didn't want to destroy her. Just wanted clarity, control. We froze the joint account. Not shut down, just marked for audit. She wouldn't even get a notification. Just a call from the bank if she tried to move large amounts. I redirected my paycheck, rerouted recurring bills to my new private account. She didn't notice. Didn't ask why the Spotify family plan was gone, or why the Amazon Prime suddenly needed her card. She started to get agitated in little ways. Snapped when the Uber app glitched, sighed when her card declined for takeout. "It's probably the stupid bank," she muttered, scrolling through her phone like it betrayed her. I just sipped my tea. The second car, the one we used for road trips, I sold it quietly. Cash deal. Signed it over and deposited the money into a high-yield account under my LLC. Told her the insurance premiums jumped again. She said, "Figures," and didn't ask a thing. I stopped using her calendar. Stopped reminding her about her dentist appointments, her niece's recital, her mom's birthday. She missed all three. That's when she started to notice the shift. She stood in the hallway one night with her phone in her hand, hair tied up, no makeup, just her. "You okay?" she asked. I said, "Yeah, why?" "You've been, I don't know, distant, like you're on autopilot." I looked at her for a second, not through her, at her. She looked tired, not the kind of tired that sleep fixes, the kind that comes from knowing the game already over. I just said, "I'm good," and walked into the other room. That's when I knew I was winning. It wasn't about revenge. It was about balance. About taking back what I gave freely for years, energy, attention, peace, and redirecting it. I called the cabin rental company we'd used before. Asked if they still had the place in the hills, the one with no Wi-Fi and a wood stove. Booked 2 nights, just me. Told her I was doing a solo retreat. Needed time to reset. She blinked, looked like she was going to protest, but didn't. "Okay," she said, You deserve that." She was right. Before I left, I laid the folder on the kitchen table. Organized, dated, every receipt, every time-stamped message, photos, logs. Her bracelet was in there too, on the last page. She got home before I did. Didn't call, didn't text. Just left one message. "We need to talk." I didn't answer. At the cabin, I sat by the fireplace with a beer and read the journal I'd been keeping. Entries from nights when she claimed I was imagining things. Entries from mornings when her phone lit up with names I didn't recognize. It wasn't just documentation. It was survival. Proof that I hadn't made it up, that the gaslighting didn't stick. By the time I got home, she'd cleared the table. The folder was gone. She didn't mention it right away. We sat in silence for 3 days. Moved around each other like distant roommates. She made coffee but didn't pour mine. I folded laundry but didn't touch hers. Then one morning she walked in, holding the folder. I don't know what to say. I didn't respond. She tried again. "How long have you known?" I took a breath, long enough. She swallowed hard, her hand shook a little. "So, what now?" I looked at her and said, "Now I stop pretending." She nodded once, didn't cry. Just turned and walked upstairs. And I let her go. She didn't leave right away. For a week, she moved through the house like a shadow that didn't want to cast itself. Did her laundry, made coffee, folded the mail into neat piles. She wasn't wearing the bracelet anymore. She asked if I wanted to talk. I said there's nothing left to talk about. She sat on the edge of the bed that night, in an old hoodie, knees pulled up, like the silence between us might fill itself in if we just waited long enough. "I don't know why I did it," she said quietly. I looked at her. She didn't flinch, didn't cry, didn't give me some long story about childhood wounds or feeling unseen. Just stared at the floor like it might give her the words I wouldn't. "You ever wish you could undo something just by saying it out loud?" she asked. I said, "All the time, doesn't mean it works." She nodded slowly, as if that was the only answer she expected. Then she left the room. She stayed another 5 days. Tried to cook, tried to smile, tried to ask about my day. But the thing about trying is, it only works when it's not an apology in disguise. She left her favorite coat in the closet. Left a pair of heels she used to call her client killers. Left the ceramic bowl I made in a pottery class, the one she said was ugly but always used for popcorn. When she finally walked out, she didn't slam the door. She didn't say goodbye. She just looked at me like she was waiting for something, maybe a final word or a fight or a sliver of grace. But I didn't give her any of that. Because I didn't owe it. I didn't block her number. Didn't unfollow. Didn't tell mutual friends what happened. I just stopped responding. 2 weeks later, she emailed me. Subject line, "I miss who we were." I didn't open it. Because I didn't miss who we were. I missed who I thought she was. There's a difference. A few months later, a box showed up on the porch. No note, just the bracelet. The clasp was still bent. I didn't open it right away. Just left it on the kitchen counter, the same place I'd set it the first time. After 3 days, I dropped it in the donation bin. Let someone else give it new meaning. The wedding photo stayed in the closet. Not because I wanted to keep it, but because throwing it out felt too dramatic. Too loud for a story that ended in silence. Funny thing is, the house didn't feel emptier without her. It felt honest. I pass the Evermore sometimes. Usually on the way to the gym, or when I take the long way home, the back roads that wind through the quiet parts of the city. The hotel still has that fake warm glow at night, still pretending to be something more than it is. I used to picture room 714 every time I saw it. Used to wonder if she ever went back there, if he did. If they talked about me like I was some tragic punchline in a story they didn't finish. Now, I don't think about them much at all. It's not forgiveness. It's just distance. I think people expect betrayal to leave you broken, cynical, bitter. But what it really leaves is clarity. You stop guessing who someone is. You stop hoping they'll change. You just see it plain, cold, final. That's the real ending. I didn't torch her life. Didn't scream into the void or air out every lie on social media. I just disappeared. Legally, emotionally, strategically. She once said I was the calmest person she knew. Said she felt safe with me. Funny how people crave safety until they find it. Then they call it boring. I'm not angry anymore. There's a kind of peace in knowing you did everything right, even when someone else didn't. She told me once that she needed more adventure. I think what she really meant was distraction, noise, that adrenaline people chase when they're too afraid to sit with themselves. Me, I like the quiet now. There's no folded note on the counter. No lipstick on coffee mugs. No waiting up for someone who already left emotionally 3 trips ago. I don't replay the hotel scene anymore. Don't ask myself if I should have confronted her sooner. The truth came exactly when I was ready to see it. And once you see it, you can't go back. This is Revenge with Camden. If you've ever been betrayed by the person you trusted most, hit subscribe. You're not alone.